Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So it is early, and we forgot to tell you that we changed the time.
Oh,
So,
that's right. Yeah.
like, we knew, and I guess we just thought you could read our minds that we had changed the time, but
And we totally had you in mind because we thought this would be a better time for you
yeah.
to meet with us.
Yeah, because we
So,
originally, I think because we were doing book club, and readers are way better with like working their 9 to 5 job and then showing up in the evening to like relax with book club. But now that we've switched to writers, it doesn't make sense. That's better during the day. No one holds webinars at night.
exactly. We're all ready to crash at the end of the day, I think, as writers.
Yeah, I might
Yeah.
be ready to crash now. I did stop during when I let you go today during walk, and I got a pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, okay. Good, good. 'Tis the season.
So I don't know if anyone else is here. If you're here, say hi. If not, we totally understand that we sent out a reminder at the last minute. So we'll just get rolling because I see like not a lot of people. Okay, so 2 things below me. You can download today's workbook. We always put a workbook out for every chat that we do. And if you're new here, so every other Wednesday, Molly and I just thought it would be fun to plot together with you and just kind of just show you how we plot things, not necessarily like telling you this is the only way to do it or the best way. It's just kind of, we were just sharing it and we like just helping us to like get into the rhythm of writing again, right?
Right. Yeah. A fun, cozy chat.
Yeah, just
Very.
fun cozy chats with pumpkin spice lattes.
Exactly.
So, all right. So I am doing today. So we're ping ponging back and forth. So every week I talk about something related to contemporary cozy mysteries, and then every other week Molly talks about something related to paranormal.
Yeah, yeah. We both write in those 2 separate segments, so
Yeah.
it's perfect.
And also, I just want to make clear she is doing a separate session on witches, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is like the
A
most
deep dive
popular.
into the most popular paranormal cozies have to do with witches.
Yeah,
So,
and
yep.
they are the best selling. So that Cozy Mystery Report from that guy at K-Lytics
Yes,
always confirms that witches are still number one.
totally. For years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's the one she'll be focusing on. So this is for your non-magical person just stuck being a regular person. So just starting out, I just want to tell everyone, this is like the worst book ever. And not like it's a bad book, but just because it was good. Like it had so many checklists. It has exactly what it says. It has forms, it has checklists, it has exercises. But the thing is, 99% of that information, not only did I never use, I wasted a lot of time filling out this amazing workbook of information.
Oh, you didn't feel like it really actually helped you. It was just busy work.
Yeah. So it's asking a lot of generic questions that you'll never use. And I know they say, I've heard that. Haven't you heard where they say, oh, you'll use it later, it'll help you know your character more? And
Right.
yeah, I just don't feel like that's useful. It's kind of like how Molly and I knew today was at noon Pacific Standard Time, but we didn't tell you. Like, how was that helpful?
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
So, like, to me, unless there's a way to convey it in the story, it's not really, it's like a waste of your time that you could have just been writing the book.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
that's what I will say about that book. Now, it's also followed by, I don't know if anyone remembers this. This is like how people used to journal back in the 90s. You would get one of these books at like, I don't know, one of those kitschy shops, and it was like all about me. Did you ever fill one of these out?
I didn't. I had journals all growing up.
Oh.
I'm gonna actually go grab my baby who was resting and sounds like she's awake, but
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So all about me was like what's your favorite color? What did you want to be when you grew up? Like it was fun to fill out, but it's the same thing. It's like a lot of information that I don't know if it's useful unless you're like my mom, who wants to like know more about me. So anyways, if you're new here, like I said, Molly and I just love cupcakes and we love lattes, and we're getting together in person. So if you missed it, we did a live stream at the same time yesterday where we talked about the in-person writing retreat that we're having in San Diego next April. So where there are only 10 slots and 3 of them are already filled. So we're really excited.
Yes. It was like it did so well that first day, and we're just so excited to have more people join us soon, right?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
This is
Twilight
Twyla, just by the way, just so we get the, hello. Okay. So
How old is she?
she is almost 18 months.
Oh, very exciting. No Coco Melon to entertain her today?
Yeah, I just wasn't doing it.
All right. So, so the reason we mostly talk about plotting is because we actually like it possibly more than writing. We like just talking about it. And plus, honestly, I know a lot of people do those write with me things where they like time that, and we've tried that. And honestly, I just find those really boring as a viewer. And it's like they're okay once in a while, but like to do them every week was like just sounded awful. So plus we like to talk. So we're hoping that you are cozy mystery writers and that you also love kittens and cats. And dogs. Okay, so this is the wrong workbook image, but the correct workbook is down below that you can follow along. So today's going to be really quick. So step one is just get the basics done first. So like for Frosted Misfortunes, so for my series, it was really quick. So you just have to remember that it's an everyday kind of person. So a lot of times people try to make their main character like super special, like, you know, Buffy the Vampire is super special.
Oh,
and
right.
Unless you're writing a paranormal, this person doesn't have to be. She's like your just everyday. That's why they're called an amateur sleuth. They're not like the expert. They're not a police detective.
They're supposed to be more relatable, right? We're supposed to maybe find a little bit of us in them. Yeah.
So Ava is 28. I wanted to make it exactly 10 years after she graduated high school. I think in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to do a high school reunion, which I haven't done yet, but I could because I made her 28. So,
okay. Right.
Secretly wanted to be tall. So I made her 5'11", which is still short compared to Molly.
Oh my goodness.
5'11".
Yeah, that's my height right there. It comes with its own challenges, I'll tell you, but I mean perks as well. I could reach things here, but
So for her build, I didn't want her to be like a supermodel beautiful. So she's a little plump. She's kind of curvy. She loves cupcakes. It shows. And so I just wanted her to be regular. Now she's an accountant, but she really secretly wants to be a baker. So I have her changing careers. And then also she was left at the altar, never married, no kids. She moves back to her hometown. Her parents are there. She's an only child, so she has no siblings. But she does have a cousin that she was really close to that's missing, who comes back in the Halloween episode that Molly actually did the cover for. The Witch Wears Prada.
Yes.
Only attempt at writing a paranormal. And then I have the city. I have that she has a pet, and that her clothes are very comfy athleisure wear. She's not like a fashion icon or anything, or shopping all the time. And she's pretty normal, brown hair and brown eyes. So,
right. Kind of girl next door and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
So the next step is to give them an internal GMC. So if you've never heard of GMC, it's just goal, motivation, conflict, because the external goal, motivation, conflict is always for your amateur sleuth to solve the mystery, whether that's something stolen, someone's been murdered. Like that's the whole point of a cozy, is that your amateur sleuth has to find the killer.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that. But anytime I feel like you give your amateur sleuth an internal GMC and make her learn something, it just makes her more interesting and makes people care about her more. So I don't know if anybody remembers the Brady Bunch.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes people worry. They're like, oh, I don't want her to do a major transformation because she is a character that's going to repeat every time, right? But you can have them learn like mini moral lessons. So like, I don't know if anyone remembers this episode of the Brady Bunch.
Oh, I totally remember this.
Do you remember it? So Marcia has this really nerdy, not hot guy ask her on a date. And she says yes, but then a hotter guy asks her out on a date. And she's like, oh, it's for the same night. She can't get out. So she like tells a lie to the nerdy guy. I can't go. Something came up, so that she can go out with the hot football guy. Now, During that day, the hot guy, before the date, she ends up getting hit in the nose with a football, which breaks her nose, and she doesn't look so pretty afterwards. So when the hot guy finds this out, he doesn't want to go out with her anymore because he's hot and superficial. So he only wants to go out with another hot person. So
I don't remember that part. Yeah.
But the nerd guy doesn't care. He wanted to take Marcia out because he liked her as a person.
He's a good.
So she learns that looks aren't everything, and she should look beyond that at the person underneath as well.
That's her moral lesson.
That's her moral lesson. She's still the same person, but you kind of like her a little more because she's learning. There's something. So that's what you want to do for your internal GMC. It doesn't have to be something like life-changing, right? Like Matrix. Yes. That's like a major internal GMC.
Right.
So what I did is I had, for mine, Ava just feels worthless and honestly, this is such a cliche. If I could rewrite this book or this entire series, I would to have a different beginning. But I started out with a very cliche beginning, which I would say don't do this. But Ava's left at the altar. And because she's left at the altar and she's dumped, that's why she moves back home. So she feels worthless because she's been, dumped, and she thought this was the love of her life. And she thinks everyone's laughing at her. But in reality, nobody cares. Like, everybody else has their own problems and their own issues. And in fact, her boss is murdered. That person totally doesn't care. And she realizes that she really always wanted to be a baker, but her ex-boyfriend told her she could never do that and she would fail. Yeah, so he's really been holding her back this whole time. So her moral lesson is that this was the best thing that ever happened to her, and she's better off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Again, this is a huge cliche, and
I mean, it works. It's a cliche because it works. And I had at the beginning of one of mine that the guy, the fiance, cheated. So yeah, totally.
The cheating. I do hate that. Like, as a reader, I'm like, lazy writing. I'm like, think of something new. So I will never ever do this again in any other book. It would be better if she decided to leave him, or I don't know, or if maybe they just left because they didn't love you anymore versus like because they were cheating. It's always like
right. And does Ava end up having more romance in this series because it starts off on the foot of the guy leaving, or she's more independent? How does she?
Well, she definitely has a love interest, and she has a love triangle like everybody else.
Okay. Well, that's fun.
Yeah. All right. The third thing you want to do is give your character a catchphrase. So something fun that they say that's just like specific to them, right? So you have Fred Flintstone. You have you ever watched South Park?
I have. Yep, for sure.
And they always say they killed Kenny, right? Like, at first I was always worried, like, oh my God, is he going to come back in the next episode? But he always comes back. And of course, Homer Simpson. So these are just little things that, like when you hear them, you know exactly who they are.
From the character. Oh, I have one of my paranormal characters that likes to say, "What the spell?"
Oh, that's cute.
But what the spell?
So for mine, so Ava and Ruby love desserts, but Ruby's dad always makes them whenever they're sad or they're tired or whatever. He like pumps them up with making these huge waffle towers. So
I've never heard of those. That looks amazing.
So for them, they're always like, is it waffle tower time? And so she's like sleeping in bed and she doesn't want to get up. And Ruby will say, oh, my dad's making waffle towers. And then she'll like spring right out of bed. So that's like their thing is waffle towers whenever they're upset.
That looks delicious.
All right. So the fourth thing that you want to do is use screenwriting tricks. So I don't know if anybody else likes watching craft videos or things, but usually screenwriters this is why I say they're much more efficient at just describing like how to show exactly what you need to show on the screen or on paper to get people to like your characters and get them to readers to really like get hooked. So this is a classic example of like two fish stories. Cartoons.
I remember those.
Yeah. So if you've seen either of these, Shark Tale, the main character is Will Smith, and his only goal is to be rich. And so you're like, okay, well, I guess that's a goal, right? And then the second one is Finding Nemo, and his goal, you start with this huge sad story where him and his wife are looking at their thousands of little fish babies in little eggs, and then a shark attacks, and the shark attack not only kills his wife, but it eats all of the little fish eggs except Nemo.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. And he was like, he was a little lost one single kid out in the ocean. I'm gonna grab Twyla because she's getting lost in my ocean. I'll be right back.
So it's his only kid, and so he's on a mission to find Nemo. And so now you're like, oh my God, your like heart is like wrenching for this poor guy trying to find his only son. It's the only thing he has left in the world. And like, you're super excited about it versus the Shark Tale goal, which is he just wants to be rich. So usually you can't like get emotionally invested in that. I mean, it would be different if he was like super poor, living on the streets, and he's trying to make a little money, or he needs the money for a surgery or something like that.
Like Nemo was just so much more popular and relatable, and perhaps, like you said, like you feel more for it.
Yeah, you're like, it's the classic case of like, sometimes you create characters or read books and you're like, I just don't care what happened to them, right? You're like, I just don't care. They're not likable. And I think that's what happens. Now, what was really weird is if you watch Shark Tale, the very opening scene of Shark Tale, see the big sharks in the back? One of the sharks was a vegetarian. And so you see this little worm on a hook, and the worm, and then they play the shark music, like dun-dun, dun-dun, right? And so you see the vegetarian shark coming up, and the worm's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, right? Like, this is it. And instead, the shark takes the worm, he pulls him off the hook, and he saves him. And he's like, go ahead and be free, little shark. And then his brother, the other shark, who's not a vegetarian shark, comes over and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing, I'm doing nothing, right? And so at the beginning of Shark Tale, you're like, oh my God, I just love this vegetarian shark. So I feel like if they had gone with him as the main character, I think this would have worked.
Maybe. And that's so cute. Oh, I wonder what he'd be eating every day though, under the sea for like seaweed.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but it was such a cute concept. I don't know if you ever go back and watch these, I feel like you'll think the same thing. Cause I totally, afterwards I was like, then we moved to Will Smith. And then I was like, are we going to go back to the vegetariarian shark? Cause that's the guy I really like.
That is a cute idea.
And because you care, because he's like helping people, right?
Right.
Anyways, there was this formula I saw. I can't remember where it was. I know you're like, what is it? I have it all written down for you.
Wow. What is that really? Oh, I see.
Yeah. It is basically just all the ingredients needed to make sure there's like emotion for your main character, right? So Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, did a good job for each of these characters. Like all of them have it, like empathy. Like you kind of feel sorry for them, right? Like what's his name? Peter in the beginning, he loses his mom. So like right away you're crying. You feel so bad for him. And then recognition. So usually sometimes people just know other people like by talking about them, right? They're like, so with Gamora, everyone was like, oh, she's what's his name? Thanos' daughter, right? Everyone's like, oh, that's who she is, right? So she had this reputation. And sometimes you don't have to identify your character through just like talking about how important they are. It could just be other people talking about them in a specific way.
Silly.
What were you going to say?
I'll have to be right back again.
Okay.
Continue on.
And then pity, right? So pity that you feel for characters. So if you remember Rocket, when they got arrested and he takes off his shirt, you can see in the back that he has all of these weird cybernetic surgical things on his back. And so you instantly feel sorry for him, right? Like you pity him because you're like, oh, that must have been awful. That's rough. It doesn't look right. Clearly there's something going on there. And then H for Humanity just shows that they're like people. So they do things just like everybody else. So for example, when we see Drax, he's so upset about losing his wife and his daughter that were killed by the Kree guy, that when he comes, he just doesn't care. He attacks everybody because that's just him. He's just human, right? Like he instantly wants revenge because he's so upset and sad over losing his wife, and he sees the guy that murdered them.
Right.
And then A for admiration, you just kind of admire them, like Groot. So you admire Groot because he is doing something really great. So at the very end, Groot grows out all of his limbs and he ends up dying because he did that to save everybody. So you like instantly admire him for being such a great guy that he gave up his life so that his friends could live.
Right.
And then emotional stakes, right? So emotional stakes is at the very end when Peter grabs the Power Stone and he's going to die. Because we saw before, the assistant who grabbed the Power Stone ended up exploding and dying. But they all go ahead and they all hold on to him to like spread out the power of the Power Stone so that Peter doesn't die by doing it by himself. And then worthy motivation. The reason they're trying to get the Power Stone is because they're trying to get it from the Kree guy, which I forgot his name, so that they can save the world because he wants to destroy that entire planet of Nova Corps. So all of those things came together, I think, in Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you can just think of all of those different elements, and it doesn't, this obviously is like a group of people, but that's going to make your emotional core and make people care and be excited about your book and your main character.
Right. They really got into the raccoon on that last movie. I was going for him a lot.
Yeah, that one was hard too. That one was like, as soon as they did a really good job of the opening scene with the experiments, and then you see him and you're like,
yes, and his little furry friends around him, and the bad people caging them, and I was really feeling for them.
So that is pretty much, I think, like just going back over all of these. So just start out with the basics. Who, what, when, where. Don't get caught up on the name. I don't know about you. A lot of times I get caught up on like baby names, most popular names, best names for 1992.
I think as authors, like the naming of characters for some reason is just one of our favorite parts. And there are, especially like in the sci-fi genre, you know, people love creating their own completely new names. So
and like how stupid of a name is Buffy? Right? Like when that movie, do you remember when that movie first came out? And I was like,
yes.
Buffy? This sounds like the dumbest movie ever.
Right. Well, I always heard a joke about like it was like a rich snooty name, like Buffy. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I mean, so Molly actually loved the name Twyla so much. She named one of her characters Twyla, and then she named the baby Twyla.
That is so true. I introduced you to Twyla here. She is on the run a lot now. She just learned how to walk. And it's so hard for me to contain her, even, you know, in a playpen. And with her favorite show, she's just wanting to go everywhere.
I mean, maybe you should put one of those like Apple Watches on her and see how many steps she gets.
See how many steps she does? I know she'll totally kill my records. So, but no, I named my paranormal character Twyla, and then I was like, I could not think of any other name for my baby. The baby, that's just how it came.
But just let that be a warning to you to not fixate too much on the name. Just even Jane Doe it and move on.
Yes.
Because we think it's so important, but honestly, if you think of like every single book I have ever read about any character, I probably remember 10% of the names.
Right. That's so true. Yeah.
Like we're wasting all this time on a name. We think it's so defining, but the reader is like, whatever, is there a good story? And then give them a lesson. So, and again, don't do what I do. Don't do the cliche about being dumped or being cheated on.
Come up with a different beginning that throws them into their new life as a baker.
Yeah, that's our challenge. And also, I think we should just help populate the world with less cliched, cozy mystery beginnings.
Right.
And then give them a fun catchphrase. What was yours? What the spell?
Yeah, what the spell?
Yeah, that's cute. And I feel like cozies are really good at having curse words that sound like non-curse words, like what the spell,
yeah, all the alternatives, right? And then I need to ask before we go also about the waffle tower. Have you had one of those before? Because that really looks amazing.
I have not, but I always thought like it would help you because you feel so weird being like, I want 5 waffles. But this way, if they're all stacked on top of each other, you're like, I just want 1 waffle tower. I'm so small and petite, I can only eat 1.
Almost, yeah, it looks like a really gooey, yummy dessert sandwich. It's amazing.
I mean, logistically, I would think that's probably messy and it's probably going to fall apart as soon as I keep something in. But in theory, I like the idea of the waffle tower.
Right,
Maybe it should be like a sideways waffle tower.
Yeah, I could see that. This one's going to be the leaning tower. Yeah,
but there are prettier as waffle towers. And then the last thing is screenwriting tricks. Just make sure it says worthy GMC, and then here is the formula that I saw. Like, try to get all of these different things in there, and not in the same scene. Just as you go throughout.
Right. There'll be a little too much happening at once, overload with emotions.
So that is my advice for creating Amateur Sleuth, and something that I try to incorporate in all of my books. So
love it.
Anything to add? I didn't even ask if you have other tricks.
Oh gosh, no, I just really like also how you mentioned that, you don't go over the top with the characters and their abilities or their personalities, their looks and stuff. Like, I definitely do like to make things relatable, but then maybe have also, something definitely to admire about them, because it's like having a best friend, you have something you admire in them, and they are relatable, and sometimes they are the girl next door. So it's like writing about a best friend.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Sherry, what trends in cozy design do you foresee for 2024?
Hi. Hey, Sherry. It's probably a question for the cozy covers. So what I'm just noticing, let's see, what people are asking for. I just know people specifically lately have been asking for more hotter colors. And knowing you, Sherry, you're actually really good at the hot colors, like those very vibrant kind of purples and pink hues and things.
Is it like this purple and pink that you see here in this photo?
It's similar to that. Yeah. And it tends to be more for the magical cozies, but I'm now also having some people in the non-magical realm wanting hotter colors as well. They just want them very, very punchy, very bright. So, and then, and even the gradation with the gradients, they want them to pop and wow. So that's some stuff that I've heard lately. And Sherry, already, you're good at that already. You do that all the time. So other than that, no, I just been watching, the bestsellers lists and been seeing about how so many more covers are having pets on them, it seems. And in the magical realm, the protagonists, like we're talking about, Lisa, the protagonists, a lot of them aren't even shown on covers of some people's new releases. They're just the cat, shown off. So, yeah.
Yeah. Is it better to have just the pet versus the main character on a cover?
I think when you're writing a paranormal cozy, a lot of people are now wanting to focus more on the pet and less on the person, with my personal clients anyway. So I know plenty of people use both still, right? So it's not like it's outdated to have your protagonist on the cover.
Right.
And then, are we shying more away from the cartoony styles? I know I personally, I'll look at someone's questionnaire and I will steer them toward sometimes the photo realism ones. 1 second. I'll get a little Twyla. Okay. Sorry. Come here. I see. So Sherry, it's based on their questionnaires lately. I've been steering some of these people who have an animal to really focus on that. And if it stars an animal on the cover, I'm veering them more toward the photorealism ones, not the cartoons.
Does it make a difference if they're contemporary versus paranormal, like what you think will work better, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, like with colors and with characters. I do like to focus more on the hot colors and the pets when it comes to the magical paranormal side. But if in their questionnaire they are saying that they have this one pet that is so special to them in their book, then I'm seriously considering maybe we should go to the photo look. It just is very popular with cats, the photo look. Yeah.
All right. And just so you know, we do have a future video planned, a live stream where you're going over paranormal cover convention.
Yeah. That will be coming up, Sherry, and one of my times I'll be hosting, I'll be talking about paranormal covers and their conventions. So I'll get really into that.
Cool. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for showing up. We will do a better job of communicating the time versus just like thinking it in our brains. So that'll help.
And I'll probably have some more help around the house with family and Twyla.
Maybe Twyla has things that she wants to tell us.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.